Hi everybody, welcome to another Draw with Richard at the Waipa District Libraries. Today we're going to be making our own Pokemon, and we're going to do this three different ways. One, we're going to evolve an existing Pokemon. Two, we're going to go online to a Pokemon idea generator. And three, we're going to make our own from scratch. So let's get going. So first up, we're going to evolve a Pokemon, and it's not going to be this guy. This is a Slowpoke, and he has nothing to do with today's video except how he evolves. He attaches himself to another Pokemon, creating something completely new. In his case, we add a Sheldor, and from there we get a new Pokemon called a Slowpoke. So now the Slowpoke can stand upright and gets new attacks, and the Sheldor gets to bite his tail. So, kind of a win-win for everybody. I thought this was a really interesting way to evolve, but maybe it would work better on a different Pokemon. In this case, a Kingler. He is a crab Pokemon. He is also a water type, but he makes a little bit more sense with a shell to me, because take a crab, add a shell, and you'll get a hermit crab. So hermit crabs walk around with a shell. They got the same orange colour as a Kingler, big claws and eye stalks. So let's see what we can do with that. I think it could be pretty interesting.
Bulldog jaw, and his very smiley eyes. And for this guy, the evolved Sheldor, he completely changes shape. So pretty much we can choose any appropriate shell we want and just make it look grumpy and spiky, and we should be good to go. So what I came up with initially were these. So you've got more of a spiral shell, something a bit more upright, like a king's conch. And I have no idea what kind of shell it is, but it's extra spiky. And again, he's got a little kind of king beard now, bigger crown, and I kept his teeth. And I'm thinking I might like this guy, because he is majestic. So yeah, just really quick sketches to get the idea down, and I'm gonna follow through with this chap here. Or this chap here. Or maybe both. We'll see how we go. Alright, let's get started.
Okay, going to speed up the sketching process so this isn't too long of a video, but here I am just making the beginnings of the shell shape and the opening where the Kingler will sit. So I went with the horizontal spiral shell because I just like the shape, and just added the spikes to it to make it look more like the one on the Slowpoke. The only tricky part I had was where I was going to put the eyes, just because it's going to get hidden behind the crab. So I went kind of out wide initially, but that does change later. So the shell's pretty much done, so it's got my reference, and now I'm starting to draw the crab. So he's got a little bit of a taller body in this form, and then just blocked in where his mouth would go. One feature I liked from the hermit crab was his eye stalks, so I added those. Makes him look a little bit more different. But still smiling. So I added in those very distinctive teeth. And also to make him look a little bit more grown up and evolved, I added a beard, because that's what beards do. And also just changed his head spikes to look a little bit more like a crown. And from there we started his first claw. So you saw in the hermit crab ones, all their limbs kind of are long and facing down, but still made that one on the left hand side quite a bit bigger than the one on the right, which is true for the real hermit crab as well, and just thickened out those limbs. So claws are done, and then just added a few extra spikes as well for texture, and started on his legs. And the process too, I enlarged the shell just because it was getting a bit lost, and I moved the eyes above the Kingler's head. Okay, so just went on to the inking process. So I used a fine line pen for this, and because it was a bit of a rough sketch, I did find myself adding a few details and tidying a few things up. It doesn't hurt to tidy up your lines before you start inking, just so you have a bit more of a clear idea. But if you know what you're after, then you can just kind of jump ahead and make the changes as you go. There's a few mistakes, but they happen, and it turned out okay, so no worries there. Let's just added a few little details, and then he was ready for the pencil lines to be erased. This is what happens when you forget to push record. Just colour magically appears on the picture without you looking. So, onto the colouring process. I broke out my fancy pants markers for this because I was quite liking how he was going. So I kept the colour scheme pretty similar to the previous evolution, just to help tie it together, but I did add more orange because I thought that was going to get a little bit lost if all his limbs were that pale tan colour. And I'm pretty happy with it. And again, to add some texture to him, I just kind of kept the line on the inside rough, so make him look a little bit more knobbly and gnarly and spiky and so on. And then I added the pale tan. Trying to work pretty quickly, make sure there's no streaks. Doesn't always work. My assumption, adding a big shell to his back is going to increase his defense, and I think just thickening out his limbs, clearly got a bit more muscle tone, but hit the gym, so he can probably hit and pinch a bit harder too. I made those eye stalks tan colour as well, just to break it up a little bit, otherwise it might be too much orange in one place. And then onto the shell. So again, kept the shell the same colour scheme, just keep it tight together again. Covering large patches of colour can be a bit tedious when you've got a marker, so you know, you can always paint. Just get a nice big brush or something. And then started to do a little bit of shading. So I picked the same light source as with the Kingler, so coming down from the top left, and that just helps you place your shadows. Even if it's not maybe accurate, it's good to, I think, not to overshadow your picture because you can start to lose a bit of detail. Some patches are kind of underneath them, so they'll be getting a lot more shaded though. If they're behind other things, the light won't be hitting them. And then started shading the orange parts. So in this case I was just using kind of darker versions of the same colour. Again, using the kind of rougher lines to add a little bit of texture to them. And then the crab part of him, the Kingler, is pretty much done. So back to the shell. I think at this point I started to panic that the colour was too dark, but it works out okay. And added those spots that you see on the other shell to make it a little bit more interesting, because otherwise it's just a heck of a lot of grey. So a few more little touches. And he's done. And I'm really happy with him. Haven't quite decided on a name. I thought about King Conch. It kind of keeps with the theme. On to the next one. This is the Pokemon idea generator I found online. This one's hosted at codepen.io, and it's been developed by a chap named Matthew Williams. So Codepen is a basically practice website for people who are looking to do some coding. So as you see, you just hit the button and it will generate a random Pokemon for you. And if you don't like the first one, you can just keep hitting the button like I did. And it will come up with a kind of animal base or item base, like slime in this case, an element, and a nature or personality trait. So in that case, I got a bear Pokemon who is legendary and dark and ground type, which is kind of cool. If you really want to challenge yourself, you can just click the button and go for whatever pops up. It might get you out of your comfort zone, but if you're looking for ideas or a little bit of fun, you can just do what I did here and keep clicking until you find something you like. I didn't, so I kept clicking off screen until I did find something, and that's the one that I'm going to draw next. In the end, I landed on a fighting centipede Pokemon, and I thought that could be a lot of fun, so I got started. Just got his basic body shape down, and I knew I wanted to make his head look like an Olympic-style boxing headgear, and all of his top legs to look like little boxing gloves, and I thought just having 8 little boxing gloves would look kind of cool. So yeah, just got the pencil sketch done pretty quick. He was, I think, a 10-minute project all up. 20, we'll call him 20, including colour. So yeah, kind of just blasted through them as a little bit of fun. And that's what you can really do with these things. Just try them out, have a go, draw something you might not think of yourself, and yeah, you can often have a really enjoyable time. Or it could be a challenge. Draw something you're not really comfortable drawing, something that's a little outside your comfort zone. So pretty quickly got onto inking. And at this point I think I added just a little kind of shoes to his lower feet, so they're not all boxing gloves. But I didn't want to look too spiky either. And I really ummed and ahed about his antenna because I didn't want to take away from, you know, the shape of his head. But in the end I added tiny little ones. And I gave him some tiny little mandibles as well, and a bit of a Rocky Balboa pull to his mouth. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Yeah, got the inking done, and got the pencil lines out of the way, and really did not have a clue what to do with colour. I just knew I wanted his boxing gloves to be red, so that's how I started him out. And then I carried on the red. Looking back, I might have done something a bit closer to like boxing shorts and changed the upper body colours, but I think it still looks okay. And just ended up giving him a grey body. So if I did him again, I might look into, you know, famous boxing uniforms, that kind of thing, make him look like somewhat iconic, but overall he turned out alright. So just put a bit of shading down. And I have a white gel pen, which I use to add a couple of extra highlights. You can pick those up from warehouse stationery. They could be a bit expensive, but you know, they just add a little bit. So I just highlighted his gloves, and then I thought to maybe give him some spots as well, just make him a little bit more interesting. And there he is. Overall, had a lot of fun with him, and you know, might see what happens. Maybe evolve him and give him a championship belt. We'll see how we go. But for now, he was all done. And finally, I wanted to make a Waipa-based Pokemon. And to me, the biggest icons I could think of for the Waipa district are horses and bicycles. So I thought maybe a horse would be better. And so this
is Waipa, the horse Pokemon. So I'll take you through how I drew Waipa, and after that we'll go to the next step, which is entirely up to you. Okay, so Waipa is basically a horse, so we're just going to start with basic body shapes. So starting off with just a ball for the front of the torso. And another one at the back. Join those up. Just going to put a center line on that one there as well. Okay, and for the head, just going to put another ball for the main part of the head. And then just down in front of it, a square for the muzzle. Kind of leaning forward a little bit, and then going to draw those lines up to the head. And then add a neck. And looking pretty good so far. So from here, I'm going to do one of the legs. Now, horse anatomy is a bit tricky, which is why I'm drawing him with the legs straight. But the joint there, and then there's another joint in here just above the hooves, so I guess that'll be the equivalent of the wrist or ankle. Just going to make it a touch bigger. Speaking of hooves, just going to quickly add that in there, make it a bit wider down the bottom. Rinse and repeat. And the legs at the back. Making a curved thigh there and down. So that's basic shape. And from here, just add a nostril there and there. You don't really see the mouth, so don't worry too much about that. Just going to follow that line up there, and that's where I'm going to put my eye. So just kind of there's the middle of the head there. Horse's eyes are a wee bit off to the side. And of course, we're going for a big old anime eye. So great big highlights, nice and sparkly. And I went for kind of a diamond shape for the ears. Now, with other horse Pokemon like Ponyta, that kind of thing, that's where you can really make them distinct. So at this point you can make it something else. This is what they call a normal type Pokemon. But if I wanted to make it like a grass Pokemon, I can make the mane and tail out of leaves. Which is pretty straightforward. And if you wanted to, you could make kind of rain looking things out of vines. Take it a bit further. And you've made a plant type. And you can change up the markings as well to make it look more like a plant, so maybe a leaf shape with chest marking there. That kind of thing. You've got a lot of options. So my idea behind Y-Power is that it is a bit like what they have with Eevee, where she starts out as a normal Pokemon and then can evolve into different kind of elemental forms. So yeah, just get down the basic shapes and then you can really make it your own with the details like the colours, the markings on the body, the material used for the mane and tail. So in this case, going leafy. You know, there's already a fiery horse Pokemon, but yeah, you know, you got options. So that's basically what I wanted to give you. So Y-Power can go in lots of different directions. So let's see which way you can take it. And we've already covered inking and colour in this video, so I think we'll just leave that there. Just a quick little, this is how you do it, and let's see how you can make it your own.
And just for fun, I turned him into a tree, made of rocks as well. Because why not? So yeah, find your own thing to do and go crazy. Well, I hope guys have had fun with this, and I look forward to seeing what creations you come up with yourselves. So until next time, ka kite anō, and I hope you enjoyed this. See you later.